confused for you.
True that. I think we call
Should I call this all in with ace king?
Yeah. Yeah. 20 big blinds.
Wait.
See, it didn't even matter we got disconnected with that. There's our stream going now. Oh man, export's just... What's going on?
I must admit that I really dislike ace king. I think that's like one of the few times I've ever hit with it.
Yeah, give me 1 sec to try to fix exploit. It just lost like all my settings. Okay, we're slowly coming back together. Now how do I maximize this?
Might be a good thing that they can't see. That way they can't see how bad I am.
Somebody... No, I'll cover the hands while I try to get this going. I think it's aspect ratio. There we go.
Not so much doubting ace kings, just running about personal experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the time when you get all in with ace king, you're going to be up against a pair, so you're going to lose half the time. And there's also the thing that people remember the hands they lose and forget the ones they win for the most part, so you always remember the bad times with ace king, even though there are a bunch of good ones. It really comes down to the range that the opponents will put their chips in with. Like if you're dealing with like 40 big blinds or deeper, then getting it in with ace king isn't the best idea. You're back on control, by the way. Yeah. If you're getting in like 40 big blinds or deeper, then you're always going to be flipping or up against kings or aces, so then it's no good. But when you're dealing with like 20 big blinds and anything under that, people are going to be putting in with ace, queen, ace, jack. As you get shallower, they're going to be putting in with any ace, all kinds of stuff. So in that case, ace, king becomes a really dominating hand. But it's all relative for how many big blinds they'll put in, what range they'll do it with. So sorry to everyone about that crash during the session. But I'll get a better computer. What about pocket jacks? How do you feel about pocket jacks?
Everyone hates them. I don't see what's wrong with them. I think my win rate with jacks is something daft like 70%.
Same sort of situation, right? Just depends what range they're going to get it in with. Just fold it. Yeah. I'm going to open just the shove chart since we're getting a little short on table one. But I won't open the other one since that caused us problems last time. Okay, and ATC means any two cards.
Right.
So we'll fold the king nine.
So, position, amount of big blinds, cards to play.
Yeah, and we're just open shoving all in with those hands.
Right.
I'm just doing an unexploitable shove. I think actually, yeah, I'll get the best charts ever. I've got the Kill Elky book has like all the shoving charts for MTTs and SNGs. So just get some of that information. And there's also another one for heads up play. If we get that far, we can try to find it. Or since you have two monitors, if you want to do a Google search on your other screen, just search Nash Equilibrium Poker, and you should get.
Do you want to send me what you want me to search in Skype, and I'll just
Okay.
do it?
Yeah.
Do I want to raise for the aces or Charlie?
Raise. Just raise the minimum.
Raise.
Since we're going to be coming in with a raise with all our hands, if we were to suddenly limp, they might put us on a strong hand since we're doing something out of character. And also, if someone has a hand that's going to pay us off, they can probably call a min raise, whereas if we limp in and everyone limps, then some people hit two pair, and it's not like we're going to fold our hand on the flop. So rather than avoiding like a really tough situation, we raise, and if anyone has a real hand, we're still going to get action anyway. And if everyone's got garbage, we just got unlucky on the deal that we got aces and no one else had anything. Because getting a hand is just the first third of the operation. Second half is second third is someone else has to have a hand, and the third part is that you have to hold against whatever they've got.
Right, got it.
So on the button with 12 big blinds, we do not have a good enough hand to shove. But you can see how it's kind of handy to just have that right in front of you, so you don't have to worry about making a mistake. That's good enough.
So we're forwarding this one, yeah?
I think with that, you could slow play, or you could just shove all in. I think he's going to be pot committed. I'd probably just jam. If we were a little bit deeper or earlier in the sit and go, then I like slow playing. But at this stage, he's going to be getting 3-2 on his money, or 5-2. Whatever. We got action. That's good. Come on. Yes.
Great.
Back. I'm actually an advocate of slow playing big pairs earlier in the sit and go. Because if people are coming in with stuff like, ace jack, king queen, whatever, Jack 10, 8, 9, doesn't matter. If they're coming in with unpaired cards and you have an overpair, you want to let them hit top pair so that they can then like stack off and give you some value. Let's see, cut off with 8 big blinds, Jack 10 suited, we can shove. We don't have to shove. We can shove, yeah. This hand plays, like even if you get called here, you have really good equity against all pairs, ace king. In fact, this is the best hand you can have against like a pair of deuces. You'd rather have this than ace king because of the more straights it can make and stuff. And just, there's a good chance that no one has a strong enough hand to call us. Oh, so fucking close. So fucking close. Yeah, we're banking on two things. First, that no one has a hand. So we got unlucky that someone actually picked up ace king there. But then you saw, like, we almost beat that. We're still winning 2 times out of 5. We're doubling up there. And given that we had 7 big blinds to start the hand, like we need to do something to get some chips. So we got to gamble, and that's just a good spot for it. The reason it wouldn't be a shove from like under the gun though is because when you're now trying to get through like 7 people, there's a better chance that someone's going to have a strong enough hand to call. That's why as we get later in position, we can shove with a wider range. Whoa. I missed that. Did he effectively shoved from under the gun and we called ace-7? Okay.
It was on small blind and I was reading this bit here.
Okay. I'm just going to take a replay on this one. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. I should have grabbed the mouse. Put you on fold. You know, do you have in England? Do you have the driver training cars where the instructor has their own set of brakes on the passenger seat? I like to think.
You just let me drive until 4, did you?
Yeah, I didn't do a good job of hitting my brake.
Don't worry, that pedestrian didn't need the legs after all.
Snap call. Snap call. Snap call.
Wait a second, no.
Boom, you got him. You got him.
God loves a riddle.
How you feel about ace king now? Don't fold it, because if this guy folds, we're getting really good odds to take this guy. Okay, raise. Because he has 50 chips left, so we're putting in 150 to play for a pot of like 500. Okay, yeah, whatever, kings. But even still, we almost have the right price there against even pocket kings, so we can't fold there. Just because he was so short stacked and the odds the pot was letting us were so good.
I understand was in a good spot to take his chip, but that is just rotten luck that he had kings.
Yeah. Wow. That 6-max sit and go went so fast. They're already heads up. It's good. I think there's some decent value in these low stakes sit and goes at the regular speed, where you actually get some play. I actually imagine for like building a bankroll, it's better to play these than 5 cent, 10 cent. And then when someone has enough money to play like 25 NL, then it makes sense to start playing cash games. Let's fold the queen 9, just because we have 5 players to get through, and also in this $1 sit and go, it looks like no one really gives a fuck. So we don't really have much fold equity. Whereas if it were a higher buy-in or people were playing tighter and starting to respect the bubble, then we would start opening up our raising range to take advantage of the fact we have a big stack. But we need to know people are actually going to be folding some hands for that to be the right strategy. I think for these $1 ones, the strategy is just wait for good hands, try to run good. Hopefully this guy just goes all in and we win. Ha.
I'm forwarding this, aren't I?
You could shove that. Because he needs, it's the same thing as before. Go all in, put the max pressure. If he doesn't have a hand, we pick up 300 chips. If he does have a hand, we're still going to suck out 30% of the time, 40% of the time. And just like, with him being a short stack, but not so short that like he has to call with any two, he's going to be folding like 80% of the time. And even if he calls us and we lose, we're still the chip leader. So when your chip position is not going to be affected negatively, significantly by losing a pot like that, you just go for the fold equity and just pick up the chips.
Right.
Because this is why we try to acquire a big stack, especially in MTTs, is so we can just fucking rape the blinds. I make it 500 here. And when we're raising with these hands, we also decide who we're willing to call off against. I think in this situation, we're not going to call off against anyone because no one's too crazy. But if there was a guy who had like 1,500 chips, we'd be calling off against them because we're getting good pot odds and we have a decent hand.
Forward queen 7, right?
Yeah. We're going to play strong hands and we're going to play good position at this point. We have a nice chip lead. We want to try to preserve it, but also build on it in good spots to do so.
This guy's making a comeback. Telling you, it's that chips that I gave him. He's dead by now.
Check, and then like if he checks again on the, actually we have showdown value now. We can check. I was gonna say if he checks down to the river, we should take a stab because 8 high is not gonna win. But pair of twos, he's not gonna fold a better hand than a pair of twos, and we can beat like ace high and stuff. So we'll just check. He was trapping
That's
us.
exactly what he had. Might have got a fold.
This one, okay. Because now the guy has more chips where if we play an all-in and lose, that's going to affect our chip position. We'd drop to, or we'd be closer to seconds, so we'll ease up on that guy a little bit. But if the blinds go up, then we should start abusing again.
Right.
It's just like a whole like risk-reward thing. Ooh, ace 10. That's good enough for sure. I haven't seen him play a hand yet, so I'd be inclined to fold. Just give him credit. Because it's like, we have chips. We don't have to take every spot that comes along. We can pick and choose which ones we like. Whereas when you're on the short stack, you're just kind of at the mercy of, like our Jack 10 suited. Anytime you get a hand in a plus EV spot, you just have to take it. Because if you wait, you're going to have no chips left. You're going to have to double up a few times just to get back to where you were 5 hands before. Yeah, so we made a good fold. Okay, so we're 5-handed now? Okay. Man, that blind jump from 1-2 to 2-4 is just so big. It's like the tournament goes from a regular one to just a turbo as soon as that blind fold hits. Like, that's a situation where, like, if you had a close spot at the 1-2 level for, like, whether to shove or not, and you knew the blinds were about to go up to 2-4, then you're way more out. I kind of want to just shove on him because it's weak. Last time he was trapping with the ace-deuce, but okay, we can check. Just because last time he showed us he was trapping us, but honestly, I'd just shove right now. We have equity if called. There's a good chance we have the best hand. And there's a lot of chips out there. There's 800 chips out there with only 2K behind. It's really significant if we can pick up that pot. And the shove just, like, makes it so he can't, like, do some... You might be able to shove that deuce 9 there just because, again, now we have a better chip position, and also there's more chips to win. Now it's 600 if we get that through. And we only have to get through one guy, whereas before we were only picking up 300. So there's more incentive to shove wider on that guy. And the closer we get to the bubble, the tighter he's going to be folding as well, because he's going to feel the pressure of wanting to cash. Fold. Because with sit and goes, as you get deeper, it becomes a lot more about your chip position and everyone else's chip stacks rather than your cards.
Right. Quite badly going on.
See, ace king's not so bad.
You know, ever since I've said that, I'm not too fond of ace king. All these tables have been totally screwing me over, making me look like a rifle.
Like, if he limps again, I'll probably just shove. We pick up 800. The odds that he's limping with an ace instead of, like, he's probably going to raise the hands that are good and just try to limp in with the ones he's going to fold. Also, if we shove on him a couple times, he's either going to stop limping or he'll start trapping us. But then we'll be wise to his tricks and we won't give him action. Now that this guy has more chips, I say we limp in and then just bet the flop and try a cheap steal, because if he has a good hand, he'll raise us now. And if he has 2 random cards, he'll check. And when he misses 2/3 of the time, so just bet like 500. And if you miss the flop, we'll win the pot. And we're risking 500 to win 8 2/3 of the time it works. Now we just shut it down. There was also the possibility we could turn a club, we could turn a deuce, we could turn a queen. So there are lots of ways that this pot could have gone our way. And there's also now we give up. There's also a slight chance he has ace high and doesn't bet. I doubt that's going to happen, but we gave ourselves multiple ways to win the pot, and now we're probably going to win the pot. So I'm thinking thinking like 700, 900-ish.
I was thinking 8, so if you was
Okay.
middle of it.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but if we fold, we just lose the pot. And since we have chips and it's only we're getting 3-1 to even play the pot in the first, I would probably shove this. Plays fine if called. Plus we're on the bubble. There's a lot of pressure for them. And even if we lose, we're still the chip leader. And if we win, we're the runaway chip leader and this tournament's over. We're just going to get first place. So if you look at like the macro perspective here, it's okay. It's okay if we get it in bad because, God, oh wait, we did? I thought he made a flush on this. Yes, okay, now we're just going to win the tournament. We get one suck out, and now we're just going to win. The bubble play is actually probably to shove that deuce tray because with both of them having like even stacks, but everyone's really short, they're going to wait each other out. Like they have to fold so many hands if we shove here. But I understand that like whatever, we just got lucky. We can take one off, let them like battle each other out.
So you'd have actually shoved with it.
I might have. I mean, we're running hot right now, so we could go for it. Okay, fold that. And just like when it's blind versus blind, if it's folded around, we're going to shove. When it's pretty much anytime it's folded to us, we're going to raise because if we get re-raised, like it just doesn't damage our stack at all. We just want to use the fact that we're first place and try to chip everyone down on the bubble while they wait for each other to bust out. So that if we get in the money, we just have like a 12-1 chip lead on everyone, and we just lock up the win. So if it folds here, we shove. Worst case, we get called and we don't suck out. It's really hard for him to call here. Like even king queen, he's probably gonna fold. Okay, so shove.
That's such a bully.
Okay, so we got lucky again. Now we just have a 7-1 chip lead. We'll fold.
Oh my days, I feel so dirty for this.
Now that we're in the money, we don't want to shove as wide because there's not the same pressure on people to have to, they don't have to be worried about busting now because they have nothing to lose, so we can't expect the same kind of folds. So you go crazy on the bubble, and then once you get in the money, you tighten up again and just play kind of legit, so like we can fold that. And the thing is, like, even if we lost that ace-9, we still would have had 10K. The other guy would have 5K. Both the other guys have 2.5K. We're still most likely going to finish very high in the sit and go.
Right.
But, like, if we're limping or if we're min-raising, we're giving people a chance to see flops or outplay us.
So basically, if you can afford to take the risk, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll fold that. I mean, I wish I had the calling chart up, but I don't think we need it. King 3's close. Definitely could shove. Don't have to. You could do what we tried before, the limp in and then bet the flop small. You can really go anywhere with this hand. I'm sure there is an optimal thing. Okay, so we just limp fold, whatever. But I don't know those charts by heart yet. I got to do some studying myself. Folds. So we can afford to wait a little bit now. If they take each other out, that's cool. Or we just wait for a cooler. If this guy gets blinded off to nothing, So obviously we have folds. See, even though we have the chips to gamble, we don't want to call off unless we expect that we're going to be in a good position. So yeah, just ship it, yeah. When you got like under 10 big blinds, unless you have like a really good hand, you're doing some sort of trap, generally it's just all in or fold. No small raising. I think we fold because this guy's been showing that he's like ready to gamble. So we'll just wait for a real hand with him. And looks like spin's just gonna get taken out of this game. Oh, he's back. 6. All right, we're playing heads up. Shit, we need that chart. All right, I'm gonna take the mouse, try to find this chart so we can cheat our way to victory. Well, it's not really cheating, but it's a little unfair if he doesn't have one. Like this 5-7 is probably a shove for the thing that like we have fine equity if we get called. Okay, so we just need to take a minute to understand this chart. Okay, so that's the minimum number of big blinds that we need to push. So Jack 5 offsuit, if we had 6 big blinds or less and we were on the button, we'd shove. You want me to just handle the clicking for this part, since we're just following the chart? Damn. But we saw like pocket 4s on the chart. You can shove up to 20 big blinds. We lose a 50-50. What are you going to do? Gonna try to get a bet out of him and then shove it. Worst. I was thinking of just going with like an open shove on the flop just to protect the hand. But okay, we got it. So Queen 6 offsuit, 9.6 big blinds. We have 9.6 big blinds. We're all in. The thing is just most of the time that's what's going to happen. He's going to fold, and we're going to increase our stack 15%. And the reasoning for like shoving wider with a shorter stack is because your reward percentage-wise to your stack is so much higher. Whereas the risk is the same. You're always risking your tournament life, but your reward is how much you chip up. So 10-9 suited, we can shove up to 20 big blinds. So this one's an easy all-in. And that's because of the equity that you have when called with the suited connector is pretty good. Like in these heads-up parts of the tournament where people have 10, 20 big blinds, it's not a lot of skill. It's really just the contest of who's going to run better. It's kind of a coin flipping contest. But the worst thing you can do is play really passive and let someone blind you away so that you have to get lucky so many more times to get back to your original chip position. So taking this like really aggressive style is fine because if they fold too much, you pick up a lot of chips and you build your stack so that when they do gamble with you, you're free rolling off all the chips you already took from them. We're obviously not folding ace-jack. Too strong a hand. If he somehow has that, I mean, that's a pretty sick killer. But heads up, ace-jack is a strong hand, so we just got to go with it. Okay, so we lost 45 cents overall.
8 days.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to not go do some begging and get money back.
I think that's good. So for anyone who's watching, I'll post this link in the chat so you guys can use it. You know, it's good to just print off or have on another monitor in case you get heads up. If you find that someone's like a really weak player and you think you can exploit them by taking a different style, that's fine. This is just, if you don't know what to do, just go with this. You can't go wrong with it. So the only, we're just...
So the numbers in the box is the big blinds?
Yeah.
Or how many blinds you got left, sorry?
Yeah.
And basically, you just say you've got aces, you want to be shoving with anything.
Yeah.
With 20 big blind plus.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah. So. Someone's
8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's like if you have. It's the minimum number of big blinds. So if you have. I think it's if you have that much or more to shove or that much or less. I think it's the maximum. 20 plus. I'll think about it. I think it's if you have that many big blinds or less, you're supposed to shove. So you have, if you have at least that many big blinds, you shove.
So for example, 9 deuce, if we got less than 2.2 big blinds for shoving.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the only things about the hands, a couple of things from the early stages. I saw you overlimp ace-7 offsuit, and I saw you open limp king-queen, and then fold to a raise. It's just that same thing we were talking about. If you have a hand that you want to play, it should be good enough for a raise. If you don't have a hand that's good enough to raise, your hand's worth folding. And for overlimping, you want hands that play well multi-way. So an ace-7 suited would be fine, because you can flop a flush draw and dominate other flush draws and play that aggressively. Pocket pairs would be fine. But with a hand like ace-7 offsuit, you're not all that ecstatic if you hit your ace or your 7. You're only happy if you make 2 pair, and the odds of that are just really low. So that's a hand that's just better to fold. Or if you have a really weak player who's limping like every hand, then it's okay to isolate with that hand, but it's a hand that you'd want to play heads up rather than multi-way.
Okay.
And the only other thing was that ace-7 suited, where we called off to the guy's shove. What you want to do when deciding to call off, first you got to look at the position of where the person's shoving from and assign them a range. If they're shoving from early position, they're going to have stronger hands than they're going to have than if they shove from the button. So they're going to have a narrower range. And when someone has a narrow range for shoving, you have to be calling even narrower. Like, don't like take this as the hard and fast rule, because I'm not like a sit and go expert. But I believe whatever someone's shoving, like if they're shoving the top 15% of hands, then you want to call with like the top 7% of hands. If they're shoving the top 40%, you want to call with the top 20%. That's your default. And then like to really do the calculations, you'd say, okay, this is PokerStoke, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know it, free program, pokerstoke.com. Let's say you think someone's shoving the button with like 25% of hands, and you're in the big blind with ace-7 suited. And so against them, you're going to need 48% equity to make the call. So the next thing you do is you get your calculator and you take your pot odds. So you say, okay, the big blind's 400, small blind's 200. He's shoving for, we'll say, 2,400, and you're in the big blind. So you got to call off 2,000. So you do 2,000 divided by the total of his bet plus your bet. You'd need 40% equity for it to be a break-even call. You'd see that against that range you have 48%, so it's an easy call. Whereas if he's shoving like top 10% of hands, now we have 38% equity, so it wouldn't be a good call. So, I mean, you can't just know on the fly what someone's shoving range is, but if someone's a regular, you see them around a lot, you can assume that they're shoving correct ranges, which would be similar to the ones that are on these charts, which I'll fancy them up and make them available for you guys. And if someone's just like a total donkey, you can assume he's shoving a wider range. But when making calls, if you want to do a review after your session, save those hand histories and check what your equity was versus the range that you thought they were going to shove, and then you can decide if it's a good call or not. And I personally just thought in that spot, when the guy's shoving under the gun, I think he's going to have more like, like a top 15% is probably going to buy. I'll probably go like top 12% kind of hands. Where A7 suited, not only did we not have the right price, but it was so many of our chips to flip. Because the other thing, on top of just pot odds and equity, when deciding whether or not to call a shove, you want to ask yourself 3 questions. Maybe it's 2. Might be 3. I don't know. First is, what is my position in the tournament if I fold? So if you're in second place in chips and everyone else is really short, maybe you don't need to gamble. Maybe you just want to keep abusing the bubble or whatever. Second is, what is my position if I call and lose? Now, if you're risking going from like middle of the pack to out or middle of the pack to last place, it might not be worth it to take that gamble. If the flip side, what is my position if I call and win, isn't too significant. So if you have the opportunity to jump way up in the rankings if you gamble and win, and you only stand to drop a couple of places by calling and losing, you're more inclined to gamble than if calling and losing eliminates you from the tournament, whereas calling and winning doesn't move you up that far. That's kind of the macro perspective you take when deciding whether or not to get involved in an all-in pot or not. And the other one, when I say like, what is my position? Positions like, what is your flexibility, stack size, which you guys should know from the MTT guide. If you haven't watched them yet, check them out. You can see that the more big blinds you have, the more plays you have in your arsenal. So you have more flexibility as to what options you want to implement and what strategies and tactics you want to take against your opponents. If taking an all-in gives you the chance to get like full flexibility, whereas if you lose, you only lose like one of your moves, then it's worth going for. Whereas if calling and losing takes away all your moves but one, and calling and winning only like adds one new move to your arsenal, then it's not worth going for. So that's kind of the Q&A you want to go through when you're facing an all-in bet. Then you combine that with the pot odds, and then just like looking at the situation of like if you can burst the money bubble by calling, maybe you're more inclined to call if you have the chips to gamble because you just want to lock up that profit. If there's like 8 people in the tournament or 7 people in the tournament where knocking out one person makes no difference to game dynamics, then unless you're a big favorite, like when you have ace king, or you stand to like really gain a much better position, then it's better to just pass on gambles. I don't advise taking coin flips early in the tournament, but in the late stages they're kind of unavoidable. But I'll try to cover all that stuff a bit more in depth in the article. But I think that's about it for Citadel. So, Kev or anyone in the chat, do you guys have any questions before we end the show?
No, not really.
Okay.
It was quite informative with all the stuff you've pretty much explained so far.
And that's why I think that like the review at the end is definitely the real gold in these little broadcasts. It's fun to play, but what are the odds we get into some really good situations? Who knows? But this stuff's always going to be good, and you can apply it to everyone you play from now on. And now you can like work on like cutting out those leaks, and you have something to look at to study to see like, okay, this is where I'm making mistakes, or this is where I just got unlucky. Now you can decide whether it was a cooler or whether it was a bad play, which is very good to be able to decide. Okay, I guess that's it for questions then, so we will conclude today's broadcast. Kim, thank you very much for joining us and showcasing your skills.
Well, like they are.
Maybe moving forward, you Well, I think once you start to like ace king, you're going to start doing a lot better. Okay, thanks for joining, everyone. Go out there and get stacking. This has been Evan Jarvis for Grip